So this question is from T, and I'm personally a fan of T. Okay, so he says, good day. Do I need permission from government or the neighbors by law or something in order to erect a second gate on my yard? A few of my neighbors already have 2 gates. So I suppose access gates. Is there any legal requirement? Must you get like, does the municipality even know where your access gate is? Can you add a second one? What's the story with gates? I have no idea, honestly. I'm as curious as T.
So I actually only know this because of a recent deal that I was involved in. It is more a town planning question, which we're happy to take and speak to our town planners and get the answer for you. But fortunately, I actually worked on a recent deal and I spoke to the guy that I was doing the deal with. So first of all, you need to remember that like council requirements, especially when it comes to building plans and permissions and things like that, are dependent on each council. So that's the first thing. So it's difficult to answer the question very specifically unless you know what council it is. That's why normally when you hire town planners familiar with the council in that area that you're buying a property in. So that's the first thing. Now, in Joburg, which is where this last property was being dealt with, you did need council approval. Now, specifically, not on the wall itself. So this was the interesting thing. It's not necessarily the wall that you need council approval on, although I do think that you need that as well, but it's because of the pavement and sidewalk, because that's council property. So it's almost a different thing to ask. So with council, you normally go on building plans to say, well, I'm changing my property. I want you to approve that it's okay. But now you're also going, well, I'm changing property that technically belongs to you. I need you to approve that it's okay. You are changing the sidewalk. Now, remember, the sidewalk is built with certain specs in mind. Now you're driving cars over the sidewalk, et cetera, et cetera. Like you need to look at traffic as well. I mean, it's almost intuitive. If you have a small property, it's like whether my gate's here or there, it doesn't make a difference. But obviously, the law doesn't think like that. If your property is massive and you have one gate that's right next to a stop street, it could cause issues. If you have a lot of traffic going in and out, obviously they wouldn't want it by a stop street or whatever the case is. So, the traffic components, building components, et cetera, wear and tear, all the rest. So that's something to consider. You have to ask them for permission. There's also something about the gates not being closer than 15 meters apart. Don't really know what the rationale for that is. Although, again, intuitively, I don't know why anyone would want a gate within 15 meters of the other gate. But I know that what happens with corner properties, and this is where the question normally arises, corner properties that people want to subdivide or multi-let or something like that, they want 2 entrances, on both sides. So the answer is you need council approval typically. The funny thing is your neighbors, I'm not saying they didn't, but often people just do what they do. And if no one notices, and that's obviously risky. So, so whether your neighbors have, it isn't a question of whether they did or rather, it isn't an indication that they did the right thing. Just bear that in mind.
Exactly. My mum taught me this valuable lesson in high school. Just because all your friends are jumping into the fire doesn't mean you should as well.
Sure.
Look how that applies to gates here in my old day.
Wow, yeah. You carried that on forward. Well done.